It has happened again, my people. Everywhere is in chaos as Shekarau, the former Kano State governor, made an earth-shattering revelation during a live discussion analyzing Tinubu's government and his controversial tax reform. My people, tension burst as Shekarau's word left people shocked and speechless. His voice rose with passion as he boldly exposed Tinubu's unbelievable hidden agenda, a plan so devastating that even Shehu Okinbaloye, known for his composure, was left utterly dumbfounded. Nobody expected Tinubu to harbor such a concealed move against Nigerians as a whole. In this video, I'm about to share with you Shekarau's revelation, and nothing short of explosive, as it details Tinubu's next step in a manner that shook every present. This isn't just politics, it's a bombshell that lays bare the depth of what Nigerians might be up against. My people, you won't believe the level of betrayal and agenda exposed here. This is one revelation that will make you question everything. So make sure you don't miss a second of this epic expose. Do well to like this video, give it a thumb up, and share it widely across all social media platforms. Don't forget to click on the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when we drop another blockbuster. Stay tuned, I'll be back shortly to give you all the details. I'll be back shortly.
Welcome to Nigerian TV show.
The whole of crime scene.
It's happening in the street again.
The center of political news, celebrity gossip, religious gossip, and happiness in the society.
Join us, the voice of Africa.
Welcome back to Lajipok TV show. If this is your first time watching, kindly like, comment, and share this video across all social media platforms. And don't forget to click on the notification icon so that YouTube can easily recommend this content to others and ensure you don't miss any of our updates. My people, it has happened again. Shekarau, the former governor of Kano State, has dropped a shocking bombshell regarding Bola Ahmed's plan for Nigeria in 2022. During a heated discussion, Shekarau raised his voice to expose what he described as Tinubu's concealed agenda. His revelation threw the entire audience into chaos as they were left dumbfounded by his claim, and that Tinubu is allegedly planning to sell out the country, a statement tied to the federal government proposed 2025 budget. According to the report, the federal government is set to exceed its 2024 domestic borrowing target by its staggering 4 trillion, representing the 67% overshoot from the original budget figure. This revelation comes as President Tinubu prepares to present the 2025 national budget to the National Assembly, a budget heavily dependent on borrowing to meet its objective. These has sparked widespread concern among financial experts and citizens alike, with many questioning how sustainable this approach can be. It's just for the first 11 months of 2024, the federal government borrowed a whopping 8.9 trillion from domestic investors, for surpassing the initial target of 6 trillion for the entire year by 49%. Projections now suggest that the total borrowing for the year could reach an alarming 10 trillion. Despite these figures, the government plans to finance the project 9.22 trillion deficit in the 2025 budget through a mix of domestic and foreign borrowing, privatization, proceeds, and project-tied loan. And also, data from the Debt Management Office highlight the extent of this borrowing spree. In the third quarter of 2024 alone, the federal government raised 2.1 trillion through treasury bills, FGN bonds, and saving bonds. Meanwhile, borrowing activities in October and November added another 774.953 billion via NTBs and similar financial instruments. As of mid-2024, the DMO recorded a 38.6% growth in Nigerian domestic debt stock compared to the same period in 2023. Underscoring the rapid escalation in the nation's debt profile. Financial analysts have linked these borrowing frenzies to the Central Bank of Nigeria's monetary policies. The CBN raised its monetary policy rate to 27.5% in November 2024, up from 18.75% earlier in the year. While this move has made government securities more attractive to investors, it also crowded up private sector borrowing, heightened inflationary pressure, and increased the cost of servicing government debt. Experts are now warning about the long-term implication of Nigeria's mounting debt. The threat that the country's rising debt stock is unsustainable, as much of the borrowing is used to service existing obligations rather than being investigated in infrastructure or productive sectors. Many are calling for a shift in focus, of urging the government to channel borrowed funds towards projects that drive economic growth and reduce reliance on recurrent expenditure. Meanwhile, others are highlighting the strain on the project sector where public borrowing has dominated credit market and stifled economic activity. In 2024 alone, Nigeria's fiscal deficit was estimated at 9.05 trillion, financed through a combination of domestic and foreign borrowing, multilateral loans, and proceeds from privatization. And as the government prepares for another round of heavy borrowing in 2025, analysts are urging restraint to avoid overheating the economy. They emphasize the need for productive fiscal policies, sustaining debt management, and a rethinking of Nigeria's economic priorities to prevent further economic hardship. My people, this revelation from Shekarau are more than just political gossip. They shine a light on the critical state of our nation's finances. If this trajectory continues, the implication for ordinary Nigerians will be severe, as rising debt leave the government with limited resources for economic development and social programs. This is a wake-up call for everyone. So my people, stay tuned, and I'll be bringing more videos onto you. But before we go further, let's watch this video. But don't forget to like, comment, and share this video across social media platforms, and click on the notification icon to stay updated.
And what is the governance point of view, which is very critical? The lives and the livelihood of the people.
Exactly.
There are those who also will make reference to how terrorism would have destroyed Kano State. But if not because of the local effort that has held that state. Now, let's begin first and foremost.
Yeah.
It's about the legislative and the parliamentary process that will see this through.
Yeah.
This is a first layer. If the governors, because of their power and the influence in the country, politically speaking, if they are all on the same page, is a good start.
Yeah.
What do you think might be a major setback if we are not careful to make this process
I
go through?
think, Shehu, this tax issue is an eye-opener.
The tax reform bills.
Because it has now, because of non-wide consultations, as even mentioned by the Economic Council, we're into this crisis and problems and misconceptions and so on, and government is now going back to all that would have been done. So I think it's not enough for the governors to meet and decide there should be a state police. It should go beyond that. I think we should engage members of the public. I suggest let there be very, very wide and intensive discussion at all levels, including the legislators, including the civil societies, the communities, the religious leaders, the traditional institutions. Let there be clear understanding as to what exactly do we want when we talk about state police structure. And my advice is that while we don't have any doubt as to the need of another additional security setup at the state level, we have to be very, very careful not to run into another problem. Another example, Sharon, that I can quickly mention, look at the issue of the State Electoral Commission. It was well-intentioned.
Yeah.
The idea was to devolve all of these powers down the line, and before you know it, unfortunately, people are being, it is being abused to the point that people are now asking, let's scrap. And I think the newly proposed amendment, I haven't the details, is suggesting the scrapping of the local government, the State Electoral Commission to come back to have a national. I think this is a very serious setback. Yeah. I'm opposed to changing it, but we must take some measures. Unfortunately, it is attitudinal. If you get the correct leadership and the correct architecture, the correct framing of the law, that's why I said there has to be uniform structure, uniform law at the center. And that was exactly what we advised the Nigerian police when they invited me and my team to give them an example of what we did in Kano. And it worked.
Yeah, because you're a retired teacher. I don't know whether...
I'm still one.
Yeah, I don't know whether you know how to handle the chalk any longer. And how the blackboard, how it works these days. Well, I mean, I want this also to be very educative and also very informative so that our viewers can glean. I put this together because I'm also a student of federalism. I had to study in some part of my study. I did comparative analysis of federal states. And part of it is also whatever we hold together a democratic state should have some principles behind it. Exactly. And this is something I found out. Yes. I looked at the structure of policing in typical federal systems, and this is what I found out. Yes. There are layers of how this policing system would be. At the federal level, this is what you will typically find in most federal states. One, as you see on your screen, at the federal level, the federal policing will oversee national and interstate law enforcement. Exactly. They will focus on crimes that transcend state boundaries or affect national security. That's right. Their focus is very straightforward, and of course, you know they know their boundaries and their duties, and it's clearly stated in the law. At the state level, they operate within the boundaries of a specific state, the federating unit. Yes. They handle regional crimes, assist local police, and enforce state laws. Exactly. Now, at the local level, which in some places they call them county. In Nigeria, we call it local government. Yes. Yeah, we have the community center law enforcement, addresses neighborhood level crimes and maintains public order. Yeah. Those are the strata in my own study of federalism. That's right. And this is what works in most of the federal states, except in Nigeria, where we have a decentralized policing system. Yes. Now, I now did a bit of the comparative analysis of 3 federal states. Okay. United States, Germany, and Nigeria. Yes. What I found out is that the policing model in the United States is decentralized. They are federal and state. In Germany, they are federal and state, decentralized. In Nigeria, we have a centralized, which is a federal controlled policing system. Yes. In terms of autonomy of the state to take control of policing, there is a high level of control of the state in policing system in the United States and in Germany. In Nigeria, state governors, you hear them mostly saying that we are only called the state chief security officer, but they never have the powers. In terms of the federal role, the policing in the United States have interstate and federal crimes that are focused. In Germany, they are controlling border and national security. In Nigeria, entire law enforcement system is being covered by the federal police. Now, these are the challenges that I've identified, Your Excellency. In the United States, there is jurisdictional overlap, and that's why a lot of the times you see the Los Angeles police and the FBI having a clash, and sometimes they look at themselves and say, oh, come on, you have come to take over these issues. In Germany, there's a problem of coordination across the state. In Nigeria, there's a decentralization inefficiency. So this is what I've been able to take out of my own understanding and study about federal system and state policing. Now, with this experience, there is the federal, there is the state, and the local government level. From your own knowledge and understanding of local government, the state, and the federal state, what do you think is most unique to Nigeria?
Well, I think, thank you very much. Coming from what you have just explained, you see, you have said even in the United States, there are some periods of clash between the federal. This is a country that has been on this democracy for 242, 43 years. We're just starting. I think there's nothing wrong borrowing from other states, then we make it what people usually call homegrown. We pick A, B, C, D from other countries. That's about knowledge. You learn from others and then you own it up and you make it your own homegrown ideas. I think we have to be very careful not to over-rush. When you rush, you're likely to have problems. Crash land. So I think while we are appreciating the fact that the Nigerian police are not in any way able to cover up the entire federation in terms of policing and intelligence gathering, all we need is a setup that will complement the Nigerian police service, not to have an outfit that will appear total disengagement at the state level of the Nigerian police and total handing over of the state security architecture to the entire, what you call the state police, and the Nigerian police will be onlookers. And so we are working together. You see, we have been existing as a people, as a nation, as an entity. Unfortunately, this unitary system was the accident of the military intervention along the line, and we are still trying to recover from these interventions. A lot of the governors are still behaving like military governors. I'm sure you know this. So this is the hangover we'll be carrying away from the military structure. So we have to be very careful. Even though we are operating democracy, I still believe that we must go slowly. The whole idea, Sheun, is to have people to monitor their own security around. You see, I may be sounding too overflogging this issue of the example we have had. We've tried it. The guards we had in Kano don't even carry any gun, but because we involved the community, because the recruitment was done by the community accepted them, owned them up, trusted them. Ask anybody from Kano, you'll find that the first law, we legislated it. The first law in our Hisba law was the Hisba is to complement the services of the Nigerian police. They are to cooperate with the Nigerian police. And in most cases...
What informed Hisba when you created it?
Well, we thought, I've been in the bureaucracy of the government all my life, principal for 13 years. I know the environments running from different parts of the state. I was in the system, a permanent secretary for 7 years, 3 or 4 of it in the cabinet office. So I've seen the global situation. And of course, I told you, I'm a product of a policeman, any policeman. I have an idea at my early age what the NA police were doing and how much they were doing in covering the environment, the security, the intelligence. So I put all this together and I foresee that we need to monitor our environment. This idea of ungoverned areas. Which area is not ungoverned? If you're a governor, the entire state is your own territory. You're governing the whole thing. I don't believe this idea of ungoverned. Every inch is supposed to be governed because we have a government in place, both local, state, and federal. So what I'm saying is, Sean, I have no problem with setting up a security structure at the state level. But the federal government still will have to oversee the structural setup. If you allow the state to go on their own, to legislate their own structure of the state police, you run into problems because most of the states will go on their own ways, and before you know it, there is chaos. A is doing something else, B is doing something else, C is doing something else. And I think there has to be the constitutional amendment that will spell out the clear national focus as to what the state police should be. And I insist it should be that word community so that people will own it up.
Absolutely.
The whole problem is in the recruitment process.
So, this is one
thing. It has to be depoliticized.
This is one thing that some of your opponents and your critics said when you were governor.
Yes.
They thought that you were going to use the Hisba against your political...
But we did not.
The question is the argument about a possible high-handedness of governors.
Yes.
Can the governor, governors have the political maturity that when they have police system in their hands, they wouldn't use it for political
purpose? That is the challenge between you and I and all the electors. Let's put in place the correct people. That's the challenge. In fact, that is exactly what our League of Northern Democrats is all out to achieve, to ensure that we mobilize the general public, to ensure that correct people, with all due respect to people in positions now, whether president, governors, local government chairman, legislators, the important thing is let's ensure we get the correct people with the correct antecedents, with the correct experience, people that will know between the right and left what is governance is all about. Once you see, it's one thing to have the law. It's another thing to have the right person to implement the law. That's why I said, for now, let it be in the national constitution, Nigerian constitution. Of course, you don't have to spell every detail in the constitution, but the main framework that will guide every state to have a common structure of what you call, or what I would prefer to call state community police. And then the recruitment process has to be spelled out, and every state should ensure the process is respected. What made our Hisba to succeed, was that I insisted Politics is out of it. All the elders we set up in every ward and the local government to recruit, we gave them the guidelines, and I insisted there shouldn't be any interference by any of the political parties or any office holder. From myself downwards, I've said it, in all the over 10,000 Hizbah Gaza we recruited, there is none that I nominated. There is none nominated by any of the officials of our party. There was none nominated by anybody in the government. We insisted because we told the elders, don't allow any politicians to pollute this process. And when they owned it up, ask the police today. People in Kano prefer to go to the Hizbah offices to report their cases, even though the Hizbah is not carrying even a stick, not to talk of guns. You see, we need to generate this confidence. We need to generate this trust at the local level.
Let me
and the framing of the law is where you get it, and getting the right people to do it.
Let me ask you this quickly.
Yeah.
There is the argument of the proportion on the ratio of police as stipulated by United Nations to the citizen.
Yes.
And we know that is highly. We use a figure of the police because the figure that we had was about 350,000 police officers governing the Nigerian territory.
Exactly.
But we now know, I mean, we are being told now that police in Nigeria have decreased by the statistics of the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics to about less than 300,000, in fact, to about 251,000.
So from bad to worse.
Yes, but now this is the question.
Yes.
We have the FRSC, the Federal Road Safety Corps. We have the NSCDC. We have the Fire Service. We have the Prison Service. We have the Customs. We have the Immigration. Let me go on to mention other law enforcement agents. We have
the traffic wardens,
the NDLEA, the EFFC, the Nigerian Immigration Service, the Customs Service, the Nigerian Intelligence Agency, the Department of State Service, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, the Federal Road Safety, the ICPC. All of these are law enforcement agents. So if you put these figures together, you will get a reasonable amount of number. Because if you go into other crimes, all of the roles that some of these agencies are playing have their department. Even the Nigerian police is so empowered that there is no offense or no crime that the Nigerian police cannot handle. They have the financial and financial crimes unit in the Nigerian police force, such that you will find in ICPC, in the EFCC, there are duplication of effort. In your own thinking, Your Excellency, do you think we need to start thinking right as a nation in merging some of these entities?
This is very, very necessary. This duplication, one, it is eating deep into our resources. It is eating deep into even the personnel. All of these that you have mentioned are actually services that were initially being performed by the police. And all we needed was to make sure as we grow as a nation in terms of population, we increase their numbers, improve their facilities, improve their training so that the training and the number will match the population explosion that we have been experiencing. Most governments that have passed have failed to address this. Do you know that if you put all of this, the Nigerian Army, the Air Force, the Navy, the police, the civil defense, and all services that carry guns, carry arms, put together, they're not up to 1 million. They're not. And I've been citing example for many years. Egypt, which is just about 80 plus million, has over 1 million security officers in the name of police and all other security agencies. Just 1 million of them. We are 200 plus million, and we are yet putting all the services together. That's why when people talk of ungoverned areas, I say, well, it is the government responsibility to ensure that every inch is properly governed. By increase, I made a proposal when we were in the Senate. I mentioned it the other time I came here. I submitted it to the Chief of Staff of the then government under Buhari. That look, Buhari said he will be recruiting the police 10,000 every year. Having been the chairman of the pension services in the Senate, I had the records. On the average, almost every year, about 4,000 or 5,000 policemen retire. So if you recruit 10,000, you are technically replacing half of that, because other ranks are retiring. I made a proposal. If we really want to catch up,
Welcome back, my wonderful viewers. As you all know that the federal government is set to exceed its 2024 borrowing target by a massive 4 trillion. That's a 67% overshoot. Already in the first 11 months of 2024, they borrowed 8.9 trillion, surpassing their own plan by 49%. And now they are projecting a borrowing total of 10 trillion for the year. Imagine that. Yet they plan to finance the 9.2 trillion deficit in the 2025 budget through even more loans, privatization, and taxes. My people, this is like digging a deeper hole to cover the one we are already stuck in. And yes, the tax reform. Tinubu is introducing aggressive tax policy. Who is going to bear the brunt of it? Ordinary Nigerians. Small businesses will struggle. The cost of living will shoot through the roof, and inflation will keep rising. They are telling us it's for revenue generation, but in reality is a means to squeeze Nigeria dry while they keep borrowing recklessly. What's worse, most of these borrowed funds are being used to service the existing debt and pay salaries, not to build infrastructure or drive economic growth. The central bank isn't helping either. By raising the monetary policy rate to 27.5%, they've made loans more expensive, forcing businesses to compete with the government for funds. This has pushed inflation higher and made it also impossible for the private sector to thrive. How are we supposed to grow an economy like this? Nigerians are not blind. People are already voicing their frustration, saying these policies are strangling the economy and killing any hope of financial stability. They are right. The government should focus on reducing wasteful spending, investing in infrastructure, and creating real opportunities for growth, not borrowing endlessly and making us pay through our noses for it. This is the reality we are facing, and the implications are terrifying. If Tinubu's government continues on this path, it won't just be the economy that suffers, it will be all of us. We are talking about a future where debt repayment takes precedence over education, healthcare, and social welfare. My people, this is not governance, this is economic slavery. The tax reforms and borrowing plans are more than just numbers. They are policy that will define the lives of millions of Nigeria. This time to act is now, not when it's too late. So thank you very much, my wonderful viewers. This is where I'll be putting an end in this very episode. So if you're watching us for the very first time, kindly like, comment, and share this video across all social media platforms. And also don't forget to click on the notification icons so that YouTube can easily recommend it for others, and you also will be updated on our next video. Stay tuned. to sway